Is meant to continue with that. It's just with the game 9 More Lives, we've been so busy getting everything done. It's very ambitious. But what I'm gonna try and do is just have more videos uploaded detailing with little things that people. Ah, and sorry about the dogs barking. um, just detailing little things. I think that's the best I can do with the limited time I have. But I get the nicest comments from people saying thank you for the series. When are you going to upload new videos? So I'm gonna keep, I'm gonna try and do that more, manage my time so I can do some stuff. So it's gonna be very free form. It's not gonna be very structured because that takes time. But I did get a request on Dialog, so I wanted to show you guys how to do the Dialog stuff. And we've touched on that before, but we're gonna do that now. So the project files I'm gonna work with is our game 9 More Lives. It's the Gamescom demo. So that is what I'm going to work with. It's going to be released. I mean, if you follow us and you play and you've joined the Steam Game Festival, then you probably would have played through this. So this isn't really spoiler. So I'm happy to use these files. I'm not going to make it available to you guys, but hopefully you can follow from what I've shown you. So basically we have a character called Tiki, and this is our little sassy character cat. And what we're going to do, we're going to talk about, let's say we're going to talk about just character dialogue and how to do states and stuff. I think that's interesting enough. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to blank this out because I want to start afresh. So the first thing is I am going to add a use command. And then I'm going to have my Tiki person, or Cuddles, our main character, say, hey, and then have the Tiki person respond. Just say hey back, hey you. So, good enough. Simple. So when you interact with this Tiki person, you execute the command use, then this will occur. Okay? And let's quickly set the game state. So I want to have this happen on the Tiki bar. And just here, let's quickly look at the at beginning of scene. Now, whenever you load a scene, you have the option to add a sequence of items to happen. So let's also just change this because I want to start afresh. So let's add a new at beginning of scene. So I'm going to create a new called by other action. And now here we have an execution type. So I can now say, well, when do I want things to happen? I want things to happen when I choose at begin of scene. Okay, so whenever the scene loads, these things are going to run. And what I want to have happen is Cuddles is going to say something like, hey, this is a Tiki bar. Okay, so now when the scene loads, Cuddles will say that. So let's run the game. And Cuddles is not appearing. Why isn't he appearing? Let's see. It's because we need to have, let me just increment my save because I don't want to overwrite what I've done. So I'm going to say save as. Okay, so it increments it. So what we can do is we can now do one of two things. We can go to Cuddles and we can go to the properties, and here where it says character stands at, we can choose for him to be immediately teleported. So as soon as the game itself starts, not when the scene loads, when the game itself starts, where is Cuddles as a character? Normally you would have this be the very first scene that you see Cuddles. So I am going to go to the Tiki bar and I'm going to have him start at Cuddles start. Now there's a lot of other things that's going on here in the sense of what is this? So because this isn't very structured and it's very casual, I'm going to have to jump around a bit, but hopefully I can keep the track of what I'm trying to bring across. Character stands at. Where does he stand? Okay, he's going to stand in the Tiki bar. Where? What is this? This char cuddle start is simply an object in the scene. There we go. Char cuddle start. And to create this, it's as simple as, let me remove this. So I'm going to go, well, I want to specify Cuddles to start. So I created a new one. Where should Cuddles stand? Well, we want to select it here, and this is set object position. So if I choose there, it means that when the scene loads, Cuddles will load there. And then, so I create my object, I choose where he's going to stand, and then I'm going to go to my character Cuddles, and I'm going to choose properties, and then here choose Tiki bar Cuddles start. Now let's run our game and see. There we go. He started there. Now let's do this. Let's remove that, right? And I run my game. Cuddles isn't there. Now let's go instead to our at begin of scene and say, well, when this scene loads, set character Cuddles to the current scene. But now I chose set character to position. So I need to manually choose a position. Let's say there. And it works. If I wanted to have Cuddles start at an object, because remember, the set char this is an object. So if I choose set character to object, I can say, well, my character's Cuddles, and then here under Tiki bar char Cuddles start, it's the exact same thing. So I've now shown you 3 ways where you can have your characters be in positions. The reason why Tiki person already loads in is because when I go here to the properties, I can see she loads in with char Tiki start. Okay, good enough. We now know that at the beginning of scene, Cuddles will load in. But let's have him say something. So he's going to say, hello. Simple enough. Run game. And he says it. Now, what I want to do is, let's say if I had gone in and out of the scene, I do not want Cuddles to keep saying hello, right? So let's have him make an observation. This place looks weird. So he makes an observation. I don't want him to continually make an observation. That's going to be annoying if he goes in and out of the scene. So really, I only want Cuddles to make an observation once. Now, how do I do that? Well, I'm going to use a condition. So I'm going to make a condition on this scene, because remember we're here. These are the conditions and values for the scene object. So I'm going to just make a general one that says condition 111, because that's my structure that I have. And you know what? I should actually also share with you guys how our planning aspect of it. I think that'll be such an interesting video for you to understand how we actually planned the project and deal with all the different aspects of it, because it's a very it's complicated. You know, it's complicated keeping track of the different states and just making sure that it's a cohesive gaming experience. But that's probably for the next video, I think. If you guys want that, let me know. So I'm gonna just keep on creating my condition here that says Tiki entered. So that's gonna be false. So now I'm going to say if condition Tiki entered is false, then play this. Okay. Now, the problem is this will continually play, in the sense of it doesn't matter when I come in and out of the scene, he will always say that. Why? Because we're never changing the condition. It always says if condition is false, then do this. The default condition is false. So what we need to do instead is we need to say, well, if the condition is false, play that text, but then obviously the condition Tiki entered is true. So he's said this, he's entered it the first time, and then when it loads the scene again, then it will play this and it'll see, well, the condition is false, so this won't happen. Okay. And that's important to understand when we deal with just creating game state. You know, we're just creating a cohesive experience. So let's keep playing and let's have Cuddles interact with Tiki. hey you. Great, that's simple enough. Now, we're going to go to our characters and we're going to say, well, we have this use. And let's change this. Hey, my name is Cuddles. And then the Tiki will say, hey, my name is Tiki. Now we sit with the same problem as what we had in the beginning. It makes no sense for Cuddles to keep on talking with him and with her, with Tiki, and they keep introducing themselves. You know, that's not right. So we're going to do the same thing. Under Tiki conditions, we're going to say, well, Tiki introduced. And we're just going to say if condition Tiki is false, do this, else Cuddles will say it's me again, and then Tiki will say oh joy, and then they will end if. But once again, remember, we need to also change it, because right now what happens is we have our character, we talk to it, we talk to our character, it sees the Tiki introduced is false, and nowhere do we set it to true. It just keeps repeating because it goes through and sees it's false every time. So same as before, we change the condition to true. So this is false, it plays this, it sets this to true. Next time it runs, it'll skip this and go there. Let's see. Okay, and then it's me again. Oh joy, great. So that's now perfect. Now we can also use this system when we want to have more than just a true or false. Okay, so let's see what makes sense. I'm gonna have the character here ask you to look at the pictures. Okay, so once you've spoken to her, she's gonna say, do me a favor, would you? Would you? And Cuddles will say, sure. Or actually it's the other way around. Sorry, like this. And see, I'm copying and pasting. Control C, Control V. Sure. And then she's going to tell you, please look at the paintings. Okay, so now Cuddles needs to repeatedly look at the paintings. And each time he does that, then we're going to have a different response. So let's say the Tiki person wants you to see something magical in the paintings, and that's going to take twice or three times that you have to look at it. So we're going to go, right, please look at the paintings. Now, what we have here is we're going to start doing the values. Okay, so what is a condition? A condition is true or false. If we want to have the painting keep track of it for 3 times, then we need to have a value, because the condition is only either false or true. Values allow more than 2 states. It allows 3 or 4 or 5 or 6. And when we get to the dialogue, you'll see why that's important. But let's do that. So I'm going to say, well, value, and I'm going to say when my value is 0, because a value has the state, the value has got numbers associated with 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Those numbers, they signify something. 0 being, nothing, for instance. No action needs to be taken. 1 is I have looked at the painting once. 2 is I have looked at the painting twice. 3 is I have looked at the painting 3 times. Okay? So the way I do my numbering is I go 0. So I know what this is. I'm going to go painting look, value painting look. Zero is not looked. 1 is once looked. 2 is twice looked, 3 is thrice looked. And you might be thinking, you know what, it's so long. Guys, it's needed. When you get to a project where there are thousands of values and conditions, you need this, because 6 months down the line, you won't know what is happening here. So what we want is we are going to introduce ourselves. Then she's going to ask us to do her a favor. And so now we're going to go, well, what do we want to have happen? If, let me quickly think about how best to do this. Please look at the painting. Okay, so we are now going to, we've provided the ability to keep track of those actions. We haven't implemented it yet. We're just saying we have a value. We're going to have 0, 1, 2, 3 to keep track of what we're going to do, what Cuddles is going to experience. Because think about it. If I look at a painting, if Cuddles has not looked at a painting, it's going to be 0. If he has looked at the painting, we're going to increment the value by 1. So everybody knows that he has looked at it once, and then twice and 3 times. Okay, so that's the key here. So how are we going to do this? Well, we have the introduction, and then we're going to have her ask the question. But before we even get here, if she has asked you the question, then you know you need to be able to we need to know that she's asked you the question. Okay, otherwise it's just going to be continually, you talk to her, you speak to her again, she tells you what to do, you speak to her again, she tells you what to do again. Once again, that's not what we want. So what are we going to do? We're going to go Tiki, quest given. Okay, and we're going to repeat this. So we're going to say, so if the condition Tiki introduces false, introduce yourself. Okay, if, and look, I copied and paste, if the condition Tiki quest given is false, do this, and then change the condition Tiki false to true. Okay, else she's gonna ask you, did you look at the painting? And Cuddles is gonna say, not yet. So let's give this a go. Hopefully you guys understand what this is about, but let's see. So Cuddles walks up to her, and this is going to play. Hey, my name is Cuddles. Hey, my name is Tiki. Now, this is played. When we went through this, the condition here has changed to true. And how can I see this? If I press tab and I click on conditions, I can see condition Tiki entered is true. And let's keep a look. This is like a debug menu, guys. Let's keep a look at this now. So now I'm going to talk to her again. And I'm going to check if the quest has been given. If it's false, then we're going to set it to true. Look at this. The quest given, let's just go Tiki quest given. And I'm searching for it, is false. So let's talk to her again. It's me again. Do me a favor, would you? Sure. Please look at the painting. And you see it's changed to true because we set it here. Now, when I talk to her again, she'll continually say, did you look at the painting? Not yet. Okay, so so we're good right now up to this point. Guys, I just want to change the music here because I see the music is on. Right, so good up to here. So now we are going to go and we're going to expand on this. Okay, and I just need to, you see there that the end if, we need to add another one because the end, we haven't properly ended it. You always need to add 2 end ifs in this sense, because here you see there we need to have it end on the yellow bit. This is not okay because this end if relates to this condition here, this if condition. There is no end if for the complete one, so you need to add that in. Right, so now we're up to here. So now we want Cuddles actually to change his response depending on if he's looked at the painting or not. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go and we're going to say if If that condition, if the condition is 0, then Cuddles is going to say not yet. And let's build that in. So I'm going to go if value, so if value that, look there, I'm allocating it by clicking there and dragging. If it's 0, Cuddles will say not yet. And then I copy and paste and I mark this as else if. Else if this is once, Cuddles will say it's pretty, and then I copy and paste again, and then I say if this value is 2, then Cuddles is going to say I'm starting to see amazing stuff. And then if it's 3 times, Cuddles will say, and you see there, so because I'm building a criteria, I can't look at it anymore. So now what's going to happen? And see the same thing, because we added a new if, we need to add an end if here. So what will happen? She will ask you, did you look at the painting? We will look at the value here and say, well, not yet. If you've looked at it once, Cuddles will say it's pretty. If you've looked at it twice, he will say I'm starting to see amazing stuff. If you looked at it 3 times, Cuddles will say I can't look at it anymore. Okay, so this is the basic structure for this. So let's test it. So I'm going to go and I'm going to run my game, and I'm going to just talk to her, introduce myself, and she's going to ask me, do a favor? Sure. Please look at the paintings. Now I'm going to talk to her again, and she's going to say, did you look at the painting? And Cuddles is going to say, not yet. If I do this again, Cuddles will say, not yet. And why is this? Because if I look at the value, I'm pressing tab again, I go to value and I go and search for it. You see it's 0. Okay. But now let's change this, let's test it. So I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to manually, via this debug menu, change it to 1. And let's see what happens then. You talk, did you look at the painting? It's pretty. Let's do this to 2. Did you look at the painting? I'm starting to see amazing stuff. And then here, did you look at the painting? I can't look at it anymore. Perfect. So this works. Now we're going to go to our scene and look at our pictures. And I'm just going to quickly delete these things because we don't need that. And I'm just going to do this. So now I've selected my picture. You guys see there? I've selected my picture. When Cuddles looks at this, and then these actions will play. This is my hotspot. So I'm going to add in a look command. And then Cuddles will say, display text. He will say, pretty. Pretty. And then what we'll do is, because now he's looked at it, what are we going to do? We need to increment this value, right, to 1, because he's looked at it once. So I will then, what will I do? I will say set value. And then what value am I going to set? I'm going to set the character Tiki, this one. What am I going to set it to? I'm going to set it to increment by 1. So now when Cuddle looks at it, it's going to increment by 1. So the 0 will become 1, which means he's looked at it once. When he talks to Tiki person, the second response will play. So let's test it. So we talk to her, blah blah blah. Have you looked at the painting? No. So let's look at it. Pretty. And now we're going to go and talk to her again. Did you look at the painting? I'm starting to see amazing stuff. So let's just see here. Okay. It's because I looked at the painting twice. That's why it incremented to 2. So let's quickly redo this, just so we're all very clear. And now I'm going to look at it only once. Pretty. And now when I talk to her, she's going to do the first response. It's pretty. Okay, great. Now, we need to change this, because what we're doing right now is every time Cuddles looks at it, it's going to increment. Again, that's not necessarily wrong. That's what we want. but you can go and you can update, you can put in if conditions, exactly like we did here on our Tiki person. Exactly like we did here, you can do here. But let's leave it as is right now because we want to increment it. Now we're going to go run, and we are going to talk to Tiki person, blah, 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 blah. And we're going to look at it once, and we're going to talk to Tiki person. And that'll play every time. Now we're going to look at it again. Pretty. Now we're going to talk to Tiki person. Did you look at it? I'm starting to see amazing stuff. Look at it another time. Pretty. Now every time we've looked at it, it's incremented that value. That affects what Cuddles responds. I can't look at it anymore. Now let's look at it again, because now we've incremented it to 4, if you remember, because we're adding a +1 to this. So I am going back to here, and I'm just going to search for this value. Now it's 4, but now we've got a problem, because now if I look at it again, you see it's become 5. But when I talk to Tiki person, what will happen? Nothing. Did you look at the painting? Because we haven't made provision for that. How do we fix this? Well, all we need to do is we need to say else if the value is not equal to 3, but instead greater than or equal to 3. So that's how you then deal with this, because it doesn't matter how many times you looked at it. You will have a right response. So let's quickly test it. I am going to talk to her quick and go through all those motions, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm going to look at the picture, let's say, 7 times. Talk to her. I can't look at it anymore. So we're good with that. We won't end up in a state where there is no response. And the reason why I've shown you this, because this is very much the core of the Visionaire system. With this, you can build anything. And you're not limited to only using it here. You can use it on objects. I'm trying to see where we can actually do that. Where I can give you an example. Okay, yeah, let's do this. Where you look at an object. Let's do this. So look here. I have given Cuddles multiple responses here when he looks at the couch. The first time he looks at a couch, he says this.
I love napping on that thing.
And then if he looks at it again, then this plays. So it really is the core of the system. If we use this, and let's say, well, now I want to use Dialog. This is very powerful, because I'm going to remove all of this, and then I'm going to just have a dialog be initiated. So I'm going to go dialog Tiki 02. And then here I'm going to go, actually, sorry, I don't want to delete this. Okay, that's fine, we'll keep it. I'm still going to create a new dialog. And then I'm going to just add a question. So this is what Cuddle says, this is what the answer is. I can now choose to say exit dialog afterwards. I can delete this if it's been asked, but I'm just going to keep it at the same level. Then I'm going to add a goodbye, so you can actually exit the conversation. I need to select there, goodbye, and she'll say goodbye. Now, what we're going to do now is we are going to have the conversation trigger as soon as all of this has happened. So let's put it in here at the end. So I'm going to say start dialogue. And what do I want to start? I want to start the Tiki Dialog 2. Let's see the effect of that. Run game. So it doesn't matter. Let's go through. There we go. Okay, so now we've ended up in a conversation. How you doing? Good. But now what I want to do is I want to, okay, you see there, I can't exit the conversation. Why? Because if I go to my dialogue here on goodbye, I need to choose exit dialogue after. Okay, so now it will work. I'm also not happy with where it executed it. So it's going into the else. So this happens regardless. So I'm going to move this to the bottom. So this always happens regardless of what's happening here. So let's test it quick. Always good to test. My name is Cuddles, blah, 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 dialogue. Goodbye, goodbye. It's me again. Do me a favor. Sure, please look at the paintings. Now, what we're going to do is we are going to update this. So when she asks you about the painting, look at that. We've got a condition that keeps track of that. So we know she's asked you. So what are we going to do? We are going to add a new one, a new diary line in here that says, why do you want me to look at the painting? And then she's going to say, because I guess that's good as an answer as any. But now the problem is this is going to remain, this is going to be there regardless, even if we've talked about the painting or not. And that's not what we want. So what do? We have a condition that keeps track of that. So let's use it. And we have the condition and the value here. So I'm going to click there and I'm going to say, well, if the Tiki quest given is true, then show this option. And now look at this. I'm going to go and I'm going to talk to her. And she doesn't give me that option. If I talk to her again and she gives me that quest, then it appears. And then I can ask, why do you want me to look at the painting? Because. Now when that has been done, I want to delete that because I don't want that question to remain. Okay, so now what are we going to do next? We're going to discuss with her when you've looked at the painting. Okay, so I've looked at the painting once. Nice. Okay, so here we have, this should play when we've looked at the painting once. Then we need to also add a second one that says, so I'm going to select that, move it up, twice. Twice. And then I'm going to have another one added that will be 3 times. But once again, we now have a problem. If I play this and I talk to her, then all of these things show. It's not what we want. But luckily, we've been keeping track of it. We know when Cuddles have looked at paintings. And that's happening here on the hotspot, on the Tiki Bar hotspot pictures. There we go. So what do? We go back to our dialogue, and I'm going to say, well, only show this if the value, this is what? Is 1, right? I've looked at it once, so only show once. I do the same then for the others, but I update the value. So only show this painting twice if the value is 2. And then this one if the value is 3. But remember, not equal 3, greater than. Because if Cuddles looks at a painting more than 3 times, we want this item to be there. So I'm going to say multiple times instead of that. And let's test it. So basically, the diary will only appear if the diary line option will only appear if these conditions or values are true. So I'm going to run it. He's going to talk to the Tiki gal. And how you doing? Now he's going to talk again, and she's going to give you the quest. And now, what do you want me to look at the painting for? And she says, cause, and it disappears. Okay, well, let's go and look at the painting then. We've looked at it once.
Where the magic?
Okay, now, and talk to her. Now, I've looked at the painting once. and that remains. I've looked at the painting once. And let's look at the picture again, pretty, and I've looked at it again. So now I've looked at it multiple times, and now I've looked at the painting multiple times. Now this is a very rudimentary, basic example of what you can do, but what I've now given you is the tool set to build a very robust game. You know, it's actually as simple as this. The only other item I would mention is the execute action. So let's say that we have, if we wanted actions to occur, we can click on that little icon right there and we can build it. So, and this is, you can build basically anything here. I can rebuild this to occur after when a dialogue option runs. So let's do this. I am going to remove these dialogues, and I'm going to say guess how many times I've looked at the painting. And I'm going to not have an answer, but instead I'm just going to remove this condition, because that shouldn't be applied. So now, or it should be actually, it could be. That's actually good. Now, we're going to build, so when Cuddles asks her, guess how many times I've looked at the painting, she is going to use that value that we created to define the response. So we're going to say painting looked. If it's 0, Tiki Gal is going to say 0 times. Else if, remember I selected, I mark it else if it's 1, once. And we do it again. If it's twice, twice. And then if it is greater than or equal to 3, then she's going to say so many times. And then always add an end if. Because now look what happens. Now we actually have that whole thing occur after I've asked my question. And then what we're going to do here is we're just going to remove this part and just say that, well, we just want the dialogue to start. So let's remove this. And let's put that, let me just see here. Yeah, okay. We'll do it like this because we want the dialogue to start. So let's run it and see. So you're going to talk to her. And then guess how many times I've looked at the painting. 0 times. Okay, so one problem. Our dialogue is disappearing. You see there it disappeared. So we're just going to untick this. Delete dialogue because we want that to remain. Okay? Let's try this again. Talk to Tiki, blah, blah, blah. Now, guess how many times? 0 times. Guess how many times? 0 times. Now, I'm going to look at the painting again. It's going to increment by 1. And if I now go and talk to her and ask her, guess how many times I've looked at it? Once. And now if I go and look at it multiple times, and I talk to her again, so many times. And that's really it. Because, you know, it might look very simple, but if you stop and think about what I've showed you, you will begin to understand that this gives you so much to work with. You can create scenarios, things that happen, you know, conditions, keeping track of states. You know, you don't know there's a thing to pick up until someone tells you there's a thing to pick up, and then you go and pick up the thing, and then you have it, but you don't see the detail on it. So then you look at the detail on it, and then you pick up something else. You see a little engraving or something on the object, which allows you to ask a new question to an NPC. That's one value. 0, don't know about it. 1, picked up. 2, looked at. 4, 3, question asked. so that's the thing, you know. There's this. It's so robust. But all right, guys. So that is one video. I hope to do this more frequently, maybe once a month. I'm gonna try my best. But with the game that we're doing, it's very time consuming, and it's coming together. We're very excited to get it into people's hands, but you know, we want to make sure it is absolutely perfect. But that being said, I'm going to try and upload more videos. If you guys have subjects you want me to cover, put it in the comments. I'm happy to look at it. If I have knowledge on it, I will share that with you. Maybe the next video is related to how we plan and structure these things. You know, how do we start the process? How do we look at a scene and go, well, we want this, this, and this, and this. What is the process? I think that might be quite interesting for you guys. But yeah, let's talk again soon.